Coming up on ATV News.
Sewage coming up into your tub? We'll show you the Wellsville family that's dealing with it.
If you thought making flour was harmless, stick around to see how this mill caught on fire.
Cache Valley's air is some of the worst in the nation. We start our series by showing you why.
Jalen Moore joined the club on Saturday night, a club with only 10 members. I'll tell you which one coming up in sports.
Last week, we got more water than we could handle. This week, I'll let you know if we get even more.
All that and more, this is ATV News. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Kaylin Taylor.
And I'm Mark Rosa. Several parts of northern Utah faced severe flooding over the weekend due to rainfall and snowmelt.
People around Cache Valley struggled to keep up with the conditions. This Wellsville home flooded Thursday night. A boy who lives there went down to the unfinished basement to grab a snack and found 2 to 3 inches of water covering the floor. While it was too late to save some of their possessions, like Christmas decorations, the family recognizes things like this happen and are trying to stay positive.
It sucks, but it happened, and we gotta see what we can do to take care of it and get it cleaned up and get it fixed and move on from there.
People worked into the night in Wellsville to keep their homes dry as the floodwaters continued to surge. The Francis family was down the street helping a neighbor with their flooding home when their own home started flooding. Sewer water was coming in through the tub, the toilet, and the floor drain in the basement, displacing their 5 children who lived there. They worked all day Wednesday and planned to work through the night Thursday to drain the water as fast as they could.
Do what you can. Do your best, you know. We'll get through this.
The Francises say the flooding was so bad they sent 2 of their children to stay with their grandparents in Mapleton.
Due to heavy rainfall Friday night, the Logan sewage systems reached capacity. Once the sewers were full, they started to flood. Workers used sandbags to contain the flooding. They pumped water from the sewer and all over the city and dumped it in the lagoon facility at the water treatment center. Logan City posted on Twitter and Facebook asking residents to avoid putting additional and unnecessary water down drains. This includes laundry, showers, dishes, and flushing.
This is a day that we've dreaded for a long time and very unprecedented. Our flows are typically about 10 to 12 million gallons a day, especially this time of year. We haven't dropped below 30 for 3 days. Today it's most likely close to 60.
Monday afternoon, the City of Logan posted an update saying current levels are manageable but elevated. They expect them to lower throughout the week. They asked residents to conserve water with these tips. Take shorter showers, postpone laundry, or only wash full loads. Postpone dishes to only wash full loads.
Another area that was affected by the sewage overflow this weekend was this portion of Smithfield Canyon Road. A clogged drainage culvert backed up floodwater and caused it to change directions and run over the road. City officials hurried to shut down the road in case of a total washout, while the property owner tried to clear the drain so the water could drain under the road, not over.
It really doesn't take a lot of water to wash out a road. So even if the road looks fine, underneath it could be completely gone and it could take a car really easily.
UDOT advises drivers not to drive through water running over the road at any time.
A first-stage flood emergency has been declared by federal water managers. Due to rainfall and snowmelt, Cutler Dam is releasing water from the reservoir to reduce flooding. Officials will continue this release until the reservoir maintains proper levels.
Because of this, Bear River is flooding other areas of the state, such as Corinne and Brigham City.
The warm temperatures, rain, and snow from last month have made the flooding worse. Our Abby Lewis is live to show you what you can expect for the weather in the next few days. Abby?
Thanks, guys. We have over double the amount of rainfall and snow than we usually do this time of year. Because of this, the ground is still frozen and can't absorb the precipitation that we've received. It has nowhere to go but through the runoff. Since our last storm caused so much problems, here's our 3-day forecast to tell us what to expect. Now, you'll see that we have about 60% chance of rainfall tomorrow, about 50% chance of rainfall Friday, and about 40% of chance for rainfall on Saturday. So this means that we should probably prepare for some possible flooding, and we just need to get ready for that. Back to you, Mark and Kaylin.
Thanks, Abby. We'll have Abby's full weather forecast later in the show. When we come back, a local restaurant served a lot of food over the weekend. We'll show you why.
And we'll show you how this family recipe is made. Welcome back. Logan police responded to an auto pedestrian accident Friday night. 84-year-old Otto Kalman was crossing the street at 100 East and 450 North. It was dark and raining when he was struck and killed by an 18-year-old woman in a car. Police say no one else was injured.
You might think that making flour is harmless, but this flour mill caught on fire. The Gilt Edge flour mill caught on fire Tuesday afternoon, leaving this storage container singed. Employees of the mill called 911 after they saw smoke coming out of the duct system. As firefighters fought the blaze, some employees were momentarily stuck on this catwalk. The fire started in an industrial hopper, which is a metal bin that stores chaff. These hoppers can create an explosive environment if you mix the right amount of dust and flour.
Throw some flour on over your burner one day if you got gas. Watch it go whoosh.
The fire district is investigating what sparked the fire.
With all the flooding going on in Cache Valley, one local restaurant found a way to help those in need. Here's Mamo's restaurant, empty for the first time since Friday night, which is when the owner put this post up on Facebook. The post says, "As we try to pump water out of our flooded house, my wife says to me, we are not the only ones. Mamo should help. So if you find yourself flooded tonight and your money needs to be allocated to other things, go by Mamo's and we will try to feed you. Pay us later if you have it, or not at all. Just focus on your family and your home tonight." The workers were busy all weekend slicing and dicing up food for the crowds that came in to support the cause. Mamo's employees say they were impressed by the number of people who came in and wanted to help.
I've had more people come in and pay for meals than we've had to give away. So the people in the area have really stepped up. I guess maybe we started it, but the people have stepped up and done a tremendous amount of good for us.
Davis says Texas Roadhouse stepped in to feed his family and his neighbors while they worked on getting over the flooding themselves.
If you've been in Cache Valley in the winter, you know how bad the air can be. Ben Nielsen took his drone out to show you how bad the problem is in part 1 of our air quality series.
During the summer, Cache Valley's air is clean and fresh.
I love Logan. I think it's beautiful. The only downside is the air.
In the winter, smog hangs over the valley. The American Lung Association says it's the 7th worst place in the country for short-term particle pollution.
I got up for my 8:30 class this morning and went outside and started coughing.
Go outside on a really bad day and just walking around, your throat can start to hurt because all that particulate matter is being absorbed.
You get the smog, the fog's cool for a day, but hacking and wheezing when you got a cold, not so much fun.
The term inversion is different than pollution because even though that's what we call all the haze sitting above our houses, inversion is actually
the phenomena of the atmosphere,
meaning humans have nothing to do with it. Usually cold air sinks while warm air rises, but during an inversion, this is backwards, or inverted. The reason is Cache Valley is surrounded by mountains, so cold air slides off the mountain and into the valley, and the snow on the ground reflects the warm sunlight instead of absorbing it into the ground.
Cache Valley will always have very strong inversions. We're subject to the whims of the atmosphere.
Pollution, on the other hand, is a man-made phenomenon.
Our pollution comes from transportation, just simply driving our cars and moving around the valley.
And all that ugly brown haze that can be seen is almost entirely car emissions.
All of that sits and collects just a few hundred feet above the surface, and we see it obviously very easily.
This bowl represents Cache Valley, and in the wintertime we drive our cars around in the valley, and when inversion hits it makes a layer of warm air that seals the cold air at the bottom, essentially trapping us in our own pollution. Even though there are strict emission controls set in place for Utah, almost half of Cache Valley is in the Idaho side.
When we share a valley with Idaho that doesn't necessarily have the same emission restrictions and laws as Cache County does, we start to mix in more vehicles that are polluting more.
While there's a scale that you can check that measures air quality in the valley, Meyer says there's not much we can do right now except try to drive less.
Ben Nielsen, ATV News.
To keep up with the air quality reports for Logan every day, check out the link on our Facebook page. And if you've ever ran outside during the winter, you can definitely feel how polluted this valley is.
Oh yeah, I've had a cold for about a week and a half, and I just can't seem to shake it, and I feel like all that bad air is what's keeping that inside of me. Coming up, ATV's Abby Lewis will have your Cache Valley weather report.
The current temperature in Logan is 39 degrees.
Welcome back. We've got Abby Lewis with us.
Abby, it's been really wet in the valley lately. Can we expect to see this weather continue?
Oh, definitely. We can definitely see a lot more moisture and a lot more rain definitely here in this next week. And I'll show you even where it's coming from in our national radar. So as you can see, we have two main storms that we're going to have a couple of problems with. The first one is over here. This storm over here is hitting New York and New Jersey and kind of the East Coast area, and that is going to cause some serious problems for them with some high winds and some whiteouts. But the storm that we're worried about is over here and the one coming from California. This storm is expected to pull this way in our Utah state here within the next couple of days. Here is our state radar, and so as you can see, there's a couple of blips here and there, a little bit of precipitation and moisture just coming here and there, but tomorrow is mainly when that storm is going to come this way and definitely engulf us here in the next couple of days. If we go to my 7-day forecast, you will see that today it's going to be kind of sunny. Not a lot of moisture today, but tomorrow is really when that rain is going to come in. As you can see, we have about 60% precipitation tomorrow, and that's going to come more tomorrow night versus the day. It's going to be a little partly cloudy tomorrow day, and then tomorrow night is really when we're going to get that precipitation. Onto Friday is when we're going to get about 50% precipitation, and then Saturday is when we're going to get 40% precipitation, and that's mainly going to be for those 3 days. As far as Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we're definitely going to get, most likely going to get some rain on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, we're just more likely to get some rain. As you can see, we have our high today of 39, our low today of 17, our high of 41, and our low of 26. That's pretty much, it's going to be a lot warmer this week, but that just means that it's going to rain instead of snow. That means that we're not going to have a lot to stick, and a lot of that could possibly turn into flooding. So it's going to be wet and cold, but the rain is really going to warm things up and possibly cause some flooding.
I don't know if I can take any more of this rain. We've had too much water around Cache Valley.
Yeah, I'm about sick of it. I'm ready for something else. So why don't we head over to Brian and see what's coming up in sports?
Yeah, well, the winter sports aren't quite done yet. Spring is close, but we still have some winter sports to wrap up. When we come back, I'll show you USU's Jalen Moore help the Aggies win on Saturday night. Welcome back. Even though there were only a couple of home games this week, they were well worth seeing. On Saturday night, the men's basketball team faced off against Wyoming in the Spectrum. The first half was dominated by USU's point leader, Jalen Moore, taking shots like this for 3. And another shot here for 3 more. And a staggering drive up the middle with a foul. But Moore isn't the only Aggie putting points on the board. Utah State's leading rebounder, Kobe McEwen, cuts through defenders like butter for the layup. The ball is blocked and recovered by Quinn Taylor, the second highest scorer of the game with 14 points, who makes his opponents look stagnant. A beautiful assist from McEwen to Taylor makes his shot look effortless. A close call here was recovered by Alex Dargington with a behind-the-back pass to Moore, who sinks the shot. This is exactly the type of play their coach was looking for.
I felt thrilled to be in the lead or close to the lead, and I know it went back and forth a lot, but I thought we made we didn't shoot a high percentage the second half, but I thought we made some big plays and some really big shots.
On top of USU winning the game 81-74, Jalen Moore became one of only 10 people in Utah State history to score 1,500 career points. On Friday night, USU's lacrosse team started off their season here at home against Montana. USU took the lead early in the game and held it with quick shots like this from Bryant Cannell. An awesome save here from goalie Phil Cannell was just one of the 15 blocks he had during the game, followed by a tight diagonal shot from one of USU's leading scorers, Gary Christensen. A quick move from behind the net by Tanner Crandall put another point on the board for Utah State. USU's Hunter Albert shows us how the Aggies won the match with this bouncing grounder right into the net.
We're excited for this season. Like, we know we're in probably one of the hardest conferences in the whole country, and we're just excited. Like, we're gonna ride this win for a couple days over the weekend, but on Monday, like, we're ready for Montana State, and we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna hopefully win that game, and we're just gonna take one game at a time, hopefully just knocking teams off the list.
Even though the match was close, USU won with a final score of 12-11.
It's good to see the lacrosse team get a win. I know Mark always likes to see lacrosse.
Oh, absolutely. Number one favorite sport. Couldn't be happier. It's lacrosse season.
Yeah, it was an awesome game. It was really fun to watch for sure.
Well, coming up, Utah's game of hide and seek with alcohol might be coming to an end. We'll show you what Utahns think of the hiding place.
And we'll show you how these Muslims showed off their religion.
USU kicked off Black History Month by celebrating with a soul food dinner complete with some delicious looking mac and cheese. And Morgan Pratt tells us that's actually a family recipe.
Thanks. This mac and cheese is not nearly as delicious as that soul food mac and cheese, and that's because soul food is made with a little bit of love.
This is USU's Black Student Union's soul food dinner, and this is soul food. Fried chicken complete with mac and cheese. Like most soul food, this mac and cheese isn't just loaded with calories, it's loaded with history.
Sharp cheddar, Velveeta, butter, evaporated milk, onion powder, and some seasoned salt.
This is not your mom's Kraft mac and cheese recipe.
This is a family thing. My grandmother taught my mom, and I just watched them for so many years, you know, cooking at home, and you just come to school and it's the same thing. Like, everybody knows that my house is the food house. You come here, Nay, you cooking? Yeah, I'm coming. Okay. The best part, you gotta top it off with cheese. This is not a meal that you count calories. Like, if you want to diet, don't look this way. Okay, go ahead. Oh wow, you're like really strong, Katie. This is how we grew up pretty much. Somebody's in the kitchen and there's friends over talking, laughing, watching a game or something like that, and somebody's always in the kitchen. I'm so weak with y'all too. These girls, they're my best friends. Like, this is my family. You gotta pay attention to this. It's like you gotta kind of like daughter it. It's the best thing for me to be a Black female. I feel like Black History Month for me is the most important month of the year, because at that point it gives me the liberation to be even more proud of who I am. Even back in slave times, like, this is when the cooks got together. Like, they worked together. The servants were there, so that means everybody was together for at least that 1 minute. Oh, all right, it's good.
So Janae told me that soul food is actually really good for your soul, but it's not necessarily good for your heart. Back to you in the studio, Caitlin.
Thanks, Morgan. That's a story I'd really like to cover, even if it was just to get the family recipe, because that looked like some pretty good mac and cheese.
Utah's liquor laws, especially the so-called Zion Curtain, which separates bartenders preparing drinks from the customers who order them, might be on the chopping block this legislative session. ATV's Bo Lamb finds out what some Utahns think of the quirky laws and if they should stay or go.
The building, which contains Quarry's Steakhouse in downtown Vernal, is over 100 years old. Because of the age of the building, owner Kathleen Hacking was able to grandfather in her restaurant and avoid spending
$10,000, $15,000 extra in the remodeling.
But she almost missed the cutoff, opening her restaurant only 7 days before the laws on grandfathering changed.
They flip-flop and change on a yearly basis.
Because Hacking opened before deadline, she is able, unlike many family-owned restaurants, to serve beer in plain view. Despite this, there are still strict limits on how much alcohol she can sell.
We can't free pour, we have to be on a meter, measures the exact pour. We have to keep detailed records of what we sell.
Although the restaurant is only minimally affected by Utah's liquor laws,
Because my food's really good.
she says the laws are still annoying.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
She also says they don't stop people from drinking.
That 16-year-old's gonna want that drink whether they see you pouring it or whether you have a curtain up saying, oh, you can't see us pour this. I don't think it's going to make someone drink more or less.
I've seen families get torn apart by drinking.
Skeen believes the current laws, including the Zion Curtain, are fair because the lawmakers are elected by the people.
I think it's fair for people to choose their laws and their government.
Statues like the one of Brigham Young in the Utah State Capitol building remind many Utahns of their pioneer heritage. Others, though, it reminds them of the inseparate nature of Utah's church and state.
There's definitely some polarization between the LDS and non-LDS people within the state. There's no other way to go about it. It's just stupid from both sides. I don't care if I see alcohol being prepared, but I don't care if I see my drink being made. As long as I get a drink, I'm good.
Bo Lamb, ATV News.
The Zion Curtain bill is expected to be voted on next month. The
chances of you knowing a Muslim are slim since they make up 1% of the U.S. population. Those at the Logan Islamic Center tried to increase their visibility by hosting an intro to Islam Night. This Muslim is demonstrating how he prays to Mecca to community members. They gathered at the Logan Islamic Center to learn about the world's largest religion in the state's oldest mosque. They learned about the similarities between the Quran and the Bible and about Sharia law. Sharia law, translated into English, means the part. They say the path. They say in Islam that the path is part of all aspects of life.
In Islam, your whole life is guided by God, your whole life. The Quran says Allah created you to serve Him, nothing else. So everything you do in life, Islam tells you how to connect it to Allah.
Check out ATV's Facebook page to find out more about Islam or to schedule a tour of the Logan Islamic Center.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can catch all of our latest editions on our Facebook page.